Okay? A student finds some information about energy saving light bulbs. Okay? Filament bulbs and LED bulbs. 30-watt light bulb uses 600 joules of electrical energy. Okay? In a certain period of time. That doesn't matter just yet. In that time, it produces 450 joules of light energy. Bang. Straight away. Energy efficiency. Surely it's going to be asking about energy efficiency. Yes, it is. Because it's talking about what we started with and what was useful. So how much of it was wasted? Well, if 450 of it was light, you started with 600, you're simply going to take 450 away from 600 to give you 150 joules of wasted energy. (150 joules of wasted energy. Again, don't forget the units. What happens to the energy wasted by the light bulb? What happens to it? Straight away, guys, wasted energy, dissipated as heat to the surroundings. Pardon me. So, energy efficiency. You need to remember this equation. You will not be given it. But it's a very straightforward equation. If you know what's useful, if you know the total that was input in the first place, simply total energy in terms of useful divided by the overall total input multiplied by 100. In the case of this particular light bulb, 450 divided by 600 multiplied by 100. And for those sharp mathematicians out there, without any need for a calculator, we'll go straight to 75%. But you need to remember the equation. If you don't remember the equation, that's going to be an awful question. There's a lot of emphasis this year, and you're the first year for it, where you have to now remember the vast majority of equations. But it's the same for everybody, all around the country. I haven't just picked on Northfield. So, now, you have to remember the equation, work done, energy transferred, it was power times time. You're given the power, you're given the energy transferred. And this equation here how long has it got to be on for? You don't know the time, but you do know the equation. Energy transferred, 600 joules. The power is what? 30 watts. Rearrange the equation. You've got that equation. Energy transfer is work done equals power times time. 600 joules is the energy transferred. Power of the bulb is 30 watts. You don't know what time is in seconds, but just simply rearrange the equation. 600 divided by 30 equals the time in seconds. 20 seconds. But again, giving you marks here, giving you marks, easy, but only if you know what the equation is. You're not going to be able to just guess these. You have to remember them. If you don't, you're going to leave yourself exposed in that GCSE exam. We okay? You okay, James? When you see the next question, like a table like this, you can bet they're going to ask you to work out comparisons. What that table is telling you. Suggest why it is important to confirm what that table is telling us independently. Why? To avoid bias. It's to avoid bias and actually so that you can believe what those companies are telling you. So that you don't allow them to deliberately mislead. Without independent verification, companies may, in order to sell you particular commodities, deliberately mislead you. You can just imagine all the adverts on telly. Gentlemen, wearing links does not make you irresistible to women. It is deliberately misleading. So misleading, in fact, that it's actually just a parody of itself. But that's the point. You can't do this with technical objects or technical commodities. They need to be independently verified. You need to be able to rely on the results that somebody gives you. So to avoid bias. A homeowner is thinking about replacing the filament bulbs with LED bulbs. 12-watt bulb gives the same light output as a 60-watt bulb. There's a reason they've told you that. Suggest reasons why the owner is going to choose LED bulbs above the filament bulbs. Well, there's a load of reasons why. Okay, but essentially for a 2-mark question, they use less power and they last longer. 2 marks. And if they use less power, they're going to cost less. Not to buy, but in order to run, in order to use. So they use less power and they last longer. Given what we've just said about lasting longer, costing less, they're actually going on now in terms of the examiners to say, well, can you think of another factor, another one, apart from cost and usage, that may be an influence on whether you buy them or not? So state one factor other than efficiency that is important when considering the choice of a bulb for the fighting in your home. Well, availability is one of them. If you've only got the one shop in your town that sells light bulbs and they only sell filament bulbs, well, you haven't got a choice, have you? So it's availability of choice. The colour output of the light intensity of LED versus filament bulbs, and about cost-saving, low-energy bulbs. How intense that light output is. And lastly, I thought of was the temperature of the surface of the bulb. Bulbs, eventually, they blow. Eventually, they run out. Eventually, they stop working. And you've got to handle them. You've got to change them. Filament bulbs are unbelievably hot, get unbelievably hot very, very quickly. LED bulbs do not. It's a factor.